Hey internet friends, currently in the United States, we are experiencing a baby formula shortage, leaving parents across the US rushing store to store, hunting for formula amongst the empty shelves. In this video, I wanted to cover this latest shortage, the reasons behind it, and also some solutions and resources for parents. But before we get started, so list NPC fact checkers who have the absolute privilege of watching my video. Is this medical advice? Is any of what I'm about to say medical advice? No, it isn't. It never is, y'all. It's only observations, analysis, and consideration of historical lessons and methods. So keep it moving. Can y'all think of anything more distressing than the prospect of not being able to feed your baby? And how about that timing, right during the whole Supreme Court leak of the Roe versus Wade reversal? By the way, since when does the Supreme Court leak anything? It's interesting, isn't it? As for the formula shortage, the latest numbers posted today reflect that, quote, about 40% of large retail stores are out of stock, with more than half of U.S. states seeing out-of-stock rates between 40 and 50%, end quote. Now, in an effort to keep shelves stocked, retailers are limiting purchases to a few containers per customer, which I can confirm I have seen signs for purchase limits at stores around me, and the shelves have been pretty bare for a while. You should know that just a handful of companies account for the entire U.S. supply of baby formula. Quote, industry executives say that the constraints began last year as the COVID-19 pandemic led to disruptions in ingredients, labor, and transportation. Supplies were further squeezed by parents stockpiling during lockdowns, end quote. There is also this whole issue about a major formula plant being shut down for contamination issues. There was a recall of several major formula brands back in February, which resulted in the shutdown of the Sturgis Michigan Abbott Nutrition Facility after 4 infants developed bacterial infections after consuming formula from this facility, and 2 of those 4 babies sadly died. What's weird about this contamination and shutdown of the facility is that the FDA inspectors inspected the facility back in March, and while they found lax safety protocols and bacteria on several surfaces, none of the bacterial strains matched the ones they collected from the 4 babies. So the FDA doesn't have an explanation of how the contamination occurred, and even says the facility isn't responsible for the bacteria and was likely not the source of the infection at all. But still, the FDA won't reopen the facility despite this. Even stranger is that on May 10th, the FDA released a statement about what they were doing to combat this formula shortage, and one of their actionables is that they were not objecting to Abbott Nutrition releasing product. You know, the same product they suspected killed 2 babies, and they're releasing this product to, quote, individuals needing urgent life-sustaining supplies of certain specialty and metabolic formulas on a case-by-case basis that have been on hold at their Sturgis facility because, quote, access to these products may outweigh the potential risk of bacterial infection, end quote. Also, I find this interesting. At the bottom of their statement is them saying that the FDA continues to advise against making infant formulas at home. So to summarize, COVID government-enforced lockdowns led to disruptions in the supply chain that affected baby formula as well. And now a huge producer has been shut down by the FDA, causing even more shortages, but the FDA might release their bacteria-laden powder formula if you beg hard enough. But be sure not to make your own formula at home because that's dangerous, according to the FDA. Now, okay, I've seen a lot of discourse about the shortage online, and I want to take a moment to address that. There's a lot of, why don't these lazy mothers just breastfeed their babies? Formula is toxic anyway, so this is a good thing there's a shortage. I find all of this commentary super callous, even though I agree that these powdered formulas aren't the greatest. Like the #1 doctor recommended brands of infant formula in the United States have their first ingredient as high fructose corn syrup. Why? But in case you live in total ignorance, not all mothers can breastfeed even if they want to. So, according to you, should their babies just starve then? Is that what you want? You believe that what they're pumping into the water is turning the freaking frogs gay, but having no effect on women's hormones, making the titty milk dry up? Really? I'm not part of the Fed is best crowd because breast milk is supreme, but there are so many factors at play here that sabotage new moms. Firstly, birth has historically been an event where grandma, sisters, aunts, experienced moms in the family have been present to guide and advise new mothers, especially in regards to nursing. But in the age of medical tyranny and COVID lockdowns, when only the husband is allowed to be present for birth, it's so very easy for exhausted, vulnerable mothers to succumb to medical pressure. Ask me how I know. At the hospital, they give you a gift basket, which includes several different brands of formula. And when you've just had a baby and are at the hospital, doctors, nurses, they don't want your baby to lose more than a few ounces from their birth weight before they discharge you. But it can take a while for your milk to come in, beyond colostrum, of course. So your baby is going to lose some weight anyway, but the doctors and nurses act like you're committing child abuse. And they pressure you to supplement with formula so you can get your baby's birth weight up. After all, it's right there. It's in the gift basket. And when you supplement with formula from the very beginning, it not only stretches your baby's stomach, but it means you aren't emptying your breasts of milk, which is key to building your milk supply. So medical intervention and pressure creates dependency on formula from the early hours of your child's life in these cases. It's so important for mom to be nursing the newborn around the clock to build supply. And these are things experienced moms in the family would tell you because it's a natural process. Every mother deals with this. Every mother who breastfeeds struggles with this. Women have been birthing babies without medical intervention since the beginning of time. Of course, there are extenuating medical circumstances that can prevent a mother from successfully breastfeeding. And the societal and financial pressure for women to return to work can tank your supply since you need to constantly be emptying your breasts of milk to keep up your supply. So I'm just saying, if you're about to say get your titties out to solve the formula shortage, it's more complicated than that. I suggest you get your titties out if you're throwing those comments around willy-nilly. So this is where we arrive at the solutions portion of this video, and no, I'm not going to shill you Bill Gates' titty milk called BioMilk, an artificial breast milk firm that offers environmentally friendly alternatives to baby formula. Although how crazy is it that this guy is always like a common denominator in every solution? Pandemic? Don't worry, Bill has opened several vaccine factories. Food shortages? Don't worry, Bill Gates and Monsanto are buying up farmland. Formula shortage? Don't worry, Bill will squeeze synthetic milk right out of his own chest because remember, men can breastfeed too, and chest feeding is the inclusive term. If you are a soon-to-be mother who is considering breastfeeding but you don't have any family who has experience with nursing, I'm leaving you lots of educational resources below. Also, I think we all agree that this book is really helpful by the La Leche League. The key is that you must empty your breast of milk constantly to establish your supply in those first few weeks. Besides, there are pistons firing off in your brain each time you nurse your baby that release oxytocin, and that helps you produce prolactin, which is key in lactation. If you think you have a supply issue, you can include a few pumping sessions, which helps with supply and demand. The other thing I can say is there are lots of products for desperate mothers who want to lactate out there, but the key thing is staying hydrated. Water, coconut water, and even drinking milk is what has helped me the most. Moving on, if you are a mother who has an oversupply and you have like 2 freezers of frozen breast milk, I'm so jealous of you, but really consider donating them to your local milk bank. If you're a mother who is having trouble breastfeeding and seek to supplement, check out your local milk bank and get your baby some donor milk. This is typically a free thing, a free resource, and I'm going to leave a link so you can find donor milk near you. After all, in the olden times, we had wet nurses, or in other words, a hired mom who would feed your baby. Given your station in life, historically, wet nursing evolved from a need basis to a choice basis. Like royal families typically used wet nurses, or families with money typically used wet nurses. Which brings us to the question, what did moms do before formula? They breastfed, they used wet nurses, and they gave babies animals' milk. Cow, goat, sheep, donkey. Orphanages kept lactating goats and donkeys on site and fed infants directly from them. But apparently there was this whole bacteria issue sucking straight from the teat of a farm animal. So, highly recommended by pediatricians throughout the 1940s and 50s was this whole evaporated milk recipe, where parents made their own baby formula using evaporated milk, some boiled water, and a tablespoon of sugar syrup. I'm not telling you to make this, but I am putting up the recipe on the screen and giving you all the ingredients and telling you that my husband's grandma fed this to all of her children back when powdered formula didn't exist. And but I'm not telling you to make it if there's a formula shortage. That's not what I'm doing. So that about covers it. What do you think about the formula shortage, the timing of the formula shortage? What do the shelves look like where you live? Were you breastfed or raised on formula? Let me know. I always look forward to your comments. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and supporting my channel on Patreon. Good luck out there. Bye!